Today, we're really zeroing in on something that could seriously shake things up for businesses. The potential return of those, Trump-era tariffs.
hmm
And this isn't just some abstract policy thing. It's about the real uncertainty you, our listeners navigating modern business, are probably feeling when you try to plan ahead.
Absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
a tricky one right now, particularly because we've all gotten so used to relying pretty heavily on AI for like forecasting and making strategic calls.
Yeah, exactly.
So the big question really becomes, can these, incredibly powerful AI tools actually guide us through the pretty choppy waters of politically driven tariffs?
Right. That's the heart of it today, isn't it? Is AI just on its own really cut out for handling the sheer unpredictability that comes with tariffs driven by political agendas?
Yeah.
We've been digging into some pretty fascinating insights that really seem to put a spotlight on where a purely AI approach might fall short. And, why some of those more fundamental planning strategies are maybe not just relevant, but actually critical right now.
Totally.
So our mission today is basically to pull out those key takeaways for you, to pinpoint exactly where AI kind of hits a wall when faced with this kind of political volatility, and to, well, arm you with the strategies that might be more effective for getting through these uncertain times.
Okay, so let's jump right in. We all know AI is powerful. I mean, it can chew through massive data sets, spot trends a human might easily miss.
For sure.
But when we think about these potential tariffs coming back, especially the ones tangled up in politics, it seems like AI hits a pretty significant snag.
It's almost like AI is great at reading the history books, but this whole potential tariff thing feels like a completely blank page, right? Why is that?
That's a really good way to put it. The material we looked at talks a lot about this idea of structural uncertainty.
Structural uncertainty.
Oh, okay. Yeah. AI learns best from patterns, from historical data. It looks at the past to predict the future. But these politically motivated tariffs, they often pop up because of, geopolitical shifts or an upcoming election or even intense lobbying.
So human stuff.
Exactly, human-driven events. They aren't necessarily neat statistical trends with clear histories that AI can just learn from.
So there isn't really a reliable data set for an AI to train on when it comes to predicting, say, the ripple effect of a tweet that suddenly ramps up trade tensions.
Precisely. Or, think about this. It's an election year. There's a big political push to, reshore some critical manufacturing.
Yeah.
Bam, big tariff on imported semiconductors.
Okay.
How does AI accurately predict the cascade effect on, say, the auto industry, which relies heavily on those chips, when the reason for the tariff is political, not purely economic?
Right.
That's structural uncertainty in a nutshell. The lack of comparable history, the lack of clear, predictable patterns that AI really needs to work its magic.
It's that unpredictable human element, the sort of political wild card that seems to, short-circuit the AI's prediction engine here.
Yeah. Policy decisions aren't always based on rational economic models, are they? They're swayed by all sorts of factors AI just can't easily quantify.
So what's interesting then is how this uncertainty actually pushes us back towards some really fundamental planning ideas.
Exactly. The insights we gathered really emphasize three in particular: scenario planning, driver-based planning, and integrated business planning. These become really essential tools. Let's maybe unpack scenario planning first.
Scenario planning sounds a bit like playing out different what-ifs for the future, like business war games.
You got it. That's pretty much the idea. You simulate multiple plausible futures. What if tariffs go up just a bit?
Okay.
What if there are sweeping tariffs across many sectors? By modeling these different possibilities, and there are platforms out there designed to help with this, by the way, you start to really understand the potential downstream impacts.
On what kind of things?
On everything. Costs, pricing, your inventory levels, even your top-line revenue.
So instead of trying to guess the one right future, you're kind of rehearsing for several different plays.
Exactly.
As a business owner listening, the takeaway seems to be less about predicting the next crisis and more about building resilience so you're not frozen when things get weird.
You nailed it. By proactively walking through these what-ifs, you're just much better placed to react quickly and make smarter decisions, no matter which way the political winds actually blow. You've already thought it through, at least partly.
Makes sense. You can act with more confidence. Okay, second fundamental, driver-based planning.
Yeah.
This sounds more hands-on than just letting an AI guess the future.
It is. It's much more focused on clearly articulating the specific business drivers that really move the needle for your performance.
Okay, like what?
So instead of just saying, oh, our cost of goods sold might go up,
Yeah.
You'd explicitly identify, say, which imported materials are likely targets for tariffs. And then you'd quantify exactly how a, let's say, 10% or a 25% tariff on those specific items directly hits your COGS.
Got it. So it's about drawing those really clear lines, direct links between a potential tariff action and a specific business outcome. Like if the tariff on imported steel goes up X%, our widget costs go up Z dollars, much less fuzzy.
Precisely. And it lets you go further. What if a U.S. tariff leads to retaliation from, say, the EU?
Oh yeah, the domino effect.
Right. Driver-based planning lets you analyze how those retaliatory tariffs might hit different product lines or markets. Maybe some export markets suddenly become way less profitable. The real power here is the transparency and the control, in a way. Your plans are based on your business logic, not some black box AI model you don't fully understand.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. You're building your strategy on knowing your own business inside and out. Okay, and the third one, integrated business planning, or IBP. This sounds like it's about getting everyone talking to each other, breaking down silos.
That's a huge part of it. You simply can't navigate something as complex as major tariff impacts effectively if your teams aren't working together seamlessly.
How so?
Well, finance needs to grasp the full cost picture. Supply chain has to figure out sourcing, logistics, maybe find new suppliers.
Right.
And the commercial teams, they need to be ready to adjust pricing, maybe deal with shifting customer demand.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a piece of the puzzle.
So everyone needs to be reading from the same playbook, basically, sharing the same understanding of what might happen and working together on a unified response.
Exactly. And look, AI might surface really useful data points for each of those teams.
Sure.
But AI alone can't ensure those insights actually line up with the company's big strategic goals.
Yeah.
That takes human leadership. It takes cross-functional teamwork.
So people interpreting the data together.
Yes. Leaders from finance, supply chain, commercial, all coming together, looking at what the AI is suggesting, discussing the implications from their angles, and then agreeing on a cohesive plan. The material we reviewed mentions how integrated tech platforms can actually help here by connecting the dots, assumptions, plans, actions across the whole business.
It really paints a picture of a much more collaborative, strategic effort than just, feeding the problem into an algorithm and waiting for an answer.
Definitely.
But the sources we looked at also stress that AI does still have a really important role here. It's not about throwing the AI baby out with the bathwater.
Not at all. No, AI is still incredibly valuable for crunching those huge data sets, automating routine analysis, freeing up human planners to focus on the bigger picture, the strategic thinking.
The higher value stuff.
And the insights we reviewed mentioned some really cool capabilities, things like AI spotting, relevant industry indicators buried in massive global data sets.
Okay.
And then correlating that external data with a company's own internal metrics.
So AI can act like a super sophisticated early warning system, flagging potential shifts or connections out there in the wider world that a human might miss. Like a superpowered research assistant that never gets tired.
That's a great analogy. Precisely. And these tools can even provide early signals of disruption by monitoring curated external data, economic indicators, industry trends, things experts flag as important.
Giving businesses a heads up.
Exactly, a crucial head start potentially. Think of it like radar, spotting potential storms way out on the horizon by connecting dots you might otherwise miss. Gives you precious time to prepare.
Okay, those sound like seriously valuable tools, providing critical intel, but as the material really hammers home, the real value comes from the humans, right?
Absolutely.
The experienced planners who can take that intelligence, apply their business knowledge, their gut feelings sometimes, and then decide on the best course of action.
That is the absolute key insight here. When politics can literally redraw the business map almost overnight, the companies that will win aren't just the ones with the fanciest tech.
They're the ones that can do what?
They're the ones that can effectively blend the speed and power of digital intelligence with human foresight, solid judgment, and that crucial ability to pivot quickly when things change.
So it's not AI instead of humans, it's AI plus humans, augmenting them, empowering them.
Yes.
The most successful companies in this kind of volatile world won't just have the best algorithms, they'll have the most agile, connected, and empowered human planning teams who know how to use those digital tools smartly.
Exactly right. The insights we explored really drive home that in this kind of unpredictable environment, human intelligence, strategic thinking, collaboration, they're more critical than ever.
Okay, so for you, the listener, the big message seems to be, Look, AI is powerful, it offers huge advantages, but when you're dealing with the sheer uncertainty of politically charged events like these potential tariffs, you just can't rely only on the algorithms.
Hmm.
It's vital to go back to basics, reinforce those planning fundamentals, scenario planning for multiple futures, driver-based planning to know your levers, IBP to get everyone aligned.
Yes. And crucially, to really recognize and empower the essential role of your people, their expertise in making sense of and acting on whatever insights the AI provides.
Which really leads to a critical question for you to